welcome to Unscripted with Alex.
Hi, Alex. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on and for having a chat with us today about yoga in pregnancy and getting prepared for birth. And so you're a yoga instructor.
Yep.
You're a mum, and you're also in training to be a doula. So you've got lived experience and professional experience and knowledge to give to us.
Yep.
So what I want you to start off with today is if you can go through what your pregnancy was like and tell us a bit about that story.
Yeah, sure. So my pregnancy, I think, was pretty straightforward. My partner and I were kind of like, let's try and see if we can get pregnant. And pretty much it happened straight away, which was really lucky. However, it was COVID, it was lockdown. It wasn't unusual for me to skip a cycle. And so we didn't realize that we were pregnant for the first 3 months, which is quite a long time. So 13 weeks, we found out we were pregnant, and then no real morning sickness or anything. And because it was COVID lockdown, I was resting basically anyway. So there was nothing that I was really made me feel that I was pregnant. And yeah, then at about 20 weeks, we moved down south. We were in Perth for the beginning of the pregnancy. We moved down south, and I knew that I wanted a continuity of care. But my GP in Perth was like, "Oh, I wouldn't recommend home birth to start off with." And so he swayed my partner and I to go with a hospital birth, but we employed a private midwife to come with us to the hospital. Yeah. And yeah, through pregnancy, it was pretty standard, healthy pregnancy. Obviously, I had my private midwife doing all the appointments and everything, coming and checking on Bub at my home, which was lovely. I was doing yoga. Probably there wasn't many pregnancy yoga courses around. Unfortunately at that time. So I was just doing my vinyasa or my yin. Again, because I wasn't working, I was going quite a bit, like almost 5-6 times a week.
Oh, wow. Great.
Yeah. That was like my morning routine. Go do yoga and, do the grocery shopping. And, because it was COVID, awesome. It was like I wasn't going to get a job when I was pregnant. And
just take time and rest.
Yeah.
So those two types of yoga, they're more restorative, slow-moving.
Vinyasa can be quite intense. Okay. But I was also training to do my prenatal yoga training at the same time. So I kind of knew what I could and couldn't do and my body's limitations. So vinyasa is a bit more of a flow. It can be intense, but you can take it easy if you prefer. Yin is more restorative, definitely. Hold poses for a lot longer. It doesn't mean necessarily that it's easier, but you do use a lot of props. So I could prop myself up in certain positions and it was a lot easier to navigate my belly, I suppose. Yeah. Like I said, I started doing my prenatal training while I was pregnant, so I knew exactly what I could do and what I couldn't do. That was it, really.
So we will go into discussing a little bit more of what the yoga is like in pregnancy when you do like a proper pregnancy yoga course. Mm-hmm. But I just want to jump back. So you said your doctor didn't want you to do a home birth. Meaning for your first birth? They did. Okay.
Yeah.
And so down here in the Southwest, we do have the option to get the private midwife. Mm-hmm. So just for the listeners that aren't too aware of what a private midwife is or what they do, can you just dive into that a little bit more for us?
Yeah. For me, finding information on that was so tough. Like I called a midwife friend and I was like, look, I didn't know there was private midwives and public midwives, and do I need an obstetrician? I just didn't like the idea of paying an obstetrician and seeing him at every appointment and then him maybe not even being like there to deliver my baby. So I really wanted the continuity of care. So we have two options down here in the Southwest, which is lovely. Two ladies, Sam and Laurelie, and hopefully we'll be getting some more options soon. We also have like a CMP, a community midwifery program with Bunbury Hospital. So you can have a home birth with a public midwife, which is for those who it's a better financial option, I suppose, because private midwives can be a little expensive. There's not a lot of rebate on them. But yeah.
And so, that shocked me as well when I became pregnant. I didn't realise, I suppose I had never really thought about it, but I didn't realize that you, even with your midwife, when you go into hospital on that night or whenever you have your baby, that you might get a different midwife. And each time you go to the hospital to do those checkups, you have a different midwife then.
Yep.
And also that your doctor would not potentially be there.
Yeah.
Which was the case with us. So we did a hospital birth and we didn't have any of the people that we knew. We were lucky in our support system that we were prepared for going in with having a little team.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see the benefit for having a private midwife, 100%. So coming towards the end of your pregnancy, what were you feeling? Like, was the body aching or did you have any troubles or anything like that?
No, like I said, pregnancy was really good. I wanted to get as much information as I could on board. I read books, I watched documentaries. I thought I knew it all. I thought I was very knowledgeable going in, and I suppose I was pretty prepared, I suppose. I knew my breathing techniques, things like this. There was the normal aches and pains that come with late pregnancy, with the third trimester, but yeah, it was all.
Yeah. And so what were the first signs that you were going into labour for you?
Oh, actually, I went into labour quite early at 38 weeks. So I thought we still had a couple of weeks.
Were you ready?
No. I mean, most first-time mums go into labour, they go over the 40 weeks. And so I was like, great, at least 2 more weeks. But that didn't happen. The capsule wasn't in the car yet. The birth preferences weren't printed yet. The first sign of labour was a little leaking, a little trickle at about 6 p.m. My sister and her husband had just moved in with us 2 days prior from over east. Yeah, they were like, we'll just stay until the baby comes and then we'll move out. And as it happened, they were so helpful in the first few weeks. So I was like, you guys can stay as long as you want. So yeah, they're still living with us.
Oh, great.
Yeah. They help with the dog and the baby and the house. So it's worked out perfect, really. But yeah, so they were there. We were playing Monopoly Deal, and I didn't tell anyone. But I was like, I think that I've stopped leaking, and so I just put a little pad in to monitor it. Then by about 10 p.m. we went to bed, and I said to my partner, I think that my waters are leaking. And he was like, oh, okay, let's just chill out, see how it goes. And probably within half an hour, I got up to pee and didn't make it to the toilet, and my waters were all over the floor.
So you had the typical movie time.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Yeah, there was a splash.
Yeah.
And I said, babe, I think this is it. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, it's not it. It's still at least another week. So we sat down. We hadn't really chosen any names or anything yet. I texted my midwife. She said, just chill out, see how you go. Have you had any contractions yet? And I had, but I didn't want to tell her because I didn't want to worry her
or I know some people you hear the stories of people getting so excited and then it sort of stops.
Yeah.
Were you thinking I don't want it to stop?
I thought I was in it for the long haul. I thought, it'd be another day or so. Turns out that wasn't the case. So I'd had a contraction. It was just an intense period pain. So yeah, it just didn't worry her. We laid on the bed. We chose some names and we were like, okay, try and get some rest, try to go to sleep. And I had another one. And I was like, there is absolutely no way I can sleep through this. Absolutely not. So got in the shower. I was like, I need something to help. I wanted to labour at home as long as I could because I was scared of getting to the hospital and then being turned away, then saying, no, you're not dilated enough, go home. And because we're in Margaret River, and we chose to birth in Busselton, it's a 40-minute drive. So we really didn't want to have to go home in the middle of the night. So we just chilled out. I was in the shower to start. I was sick in the shower. My body just getting rid of everything, ready to give birth, basically. And then I started having intense cramps in my legs. Yeah.
That happened to me too.
Yeah. No one ever told me about that. I didn't think that was a thing.
No, either. And actually, you're the only other person that I've sort of known that said that.
So this time I'm stocking up on the magnesium. I was like, what can I do about this? And I was like, I've got some magnesium salts. I was like, babe, run the bath, put the salts in it, just do it now. And he was like, okay. So went and hopped in the bath, actually put my toe in the bath, and I was like, this is way too hot. And partners try their best. But
Yes.
he was running around, printing the preferences, getting the car seat in the car, like looking after the dog. He had to like whisper to my sister and her husband who have gone to bed, like, I think Janice is in labour. And they're like, yeah, we can hear it. Like,
Oh, you think you're being like quiet? And, no.
yeah. So I was in the bath probably an hour or so. You lose track of time, and just couldn't get comfortable. It was a big bathtub, but still just couldn't get comfortable. And I didn't probably realize at the time, like, we didn't want to bother our midwife. I was like, this could go on until tomorrow morning. It was probably like midnight or so by then. Okay. And so, I just didn't want to bother her, and was in the bath, so I kind of did a little check myself, and I was like, I think I can feel the head.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you knew what to look for because you had, how'd you know?
Well, no, I didn't really know what to look for.
You just thought, you just knew your body.
Yeah. Well, I'd done a lot of reading and things on like the stages of labour and things like that, but when it's your first time, you still don't really know what to expect, do you? So, I was like, I think I can feel the head. And they were getting really intense. I put some affirmations on, which was really good. But my partner really wasn't with me a lot because he was running around doing this, doing that.
Was that good for you because you were tuning into yourself, or did you?
No, I wanted
need someone. Yeah, you're like, I need you.
Yeah, and was grabbing his hand like, stay. But he's like, I've got to put the car seat in the car. Like, we've got to get you to hospital. He got to a stage where he was like, we have to get you to hospital. And I was like, okay. So he texted the midwife. This was the second text, probably at 2 a.m. Like, okay, we're heading to the hospital now. And she was like, okay, great. Like, let me know how it goes. The car journey probably, I remember having a surge like outside in the middle of like the driveway getting to the car, and I was like, oh my God, I bet the whole street can hear me. I was so loud. I definitely roared.
I do too. I was a vocal person. But it's just instincts, isn't it? It's animal instincts.
It just happens, and it helps. It helps with the,
Yeah, I found it helped too, just with the whole releasing tension or moving through the motion or whatever it is, just having that vibration as well through the body.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's it. In the back seat I went with the car seat there too, trying to sprawl out.
How was that drive? Was it pretty uncomfortable?
It was pretty uncomfortable, yeah. But I do remember that there was a split second where I was like looking out the window above me because it was behind me, and I could see the stars because obviously it's kind of country here. There's not too much like light pollution. And I was like, I get to meet my baby soon. So that was really nice. That kind of got me through it.
That sounds like a really lovely moment.
Yeah. That's why,
Keep that one in the memory bank.
And so my partner had a playlist on in the car as well, so that got me through it. Got to the hospital in Busselton, and instinctively, I suppose, my partner just put a hoodie on me, and I was fine with it. And he tied my hair up, and I was like, I'm going to have this baby in the car park. Like, I can't walk. So I did another check in the car park, and I was like, like the head's here. I can't walk.
Oh, my gosh.
Not that the head wasn't out yet, but
it was
definitely
right pushing.
Yeah. With every surge, yeah. So I think the car ride slowed me down, but I was definitely still in transition. Little did my partner know, he rocked up, not at the emergency exit. We were quite far away, and I think the actual entrance doors were locked, and he had to run to the entrance. He was like, can I get a wheelchair from someone? I was like bent over like a planter box, like having a surge. And he came with a wheelchair, and I was like, I can't sit down and I can't walk, so I don't know what to do. Like, this baby's going to come in the car park. She didn't. They got me sitting down, and I put the hoodie over my head, and I kind of covered my face, which it was kind of because I didn't want people to see me. Like, I didn't want anyone to recognize me at 3 a.m. in the emergency department of Busselton. I don't know who would have seen me, but it really helped going into like the bright lights and everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, to do with the bright lights as well, keeps you in.
Yeah, so there wasn't like heaps of things to look at, and I was just staying internal, I suppose, and focusing on well, focusing on actually not getting the baby out just yet.
Actually, at that point, it's holding it in.
So yeah, we got up to the suite, and the midwives quickly did a blood pressure check on myself, and I had always wanted a water bath, and I was like, should I get in the bathtub? No, like, no, there's no time. Like, we don't have time to fill the bathtub. They said, get on the bed, like, put your hands on the bed and lean over, and they went to check I think the baby's heart rate, and my partner was just like, you don't have time for that either. Like, this baby's coming now. But, like, the head was there.
I was thinking that when you said they checked your blood pressure, even I was like, sounds like the baby's just coming. There's no time for this monitoring.
Yeah, there was no time. They said on the next surge, I want you to like really control it. They had a compress on my perineum, and they said go really slowly. And yeah, baby was pretty much born within like 15 minutes of getting to the hospital. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a whirlwind.
Yeah, it was.
What position were you in then when you...
So I was kneeling on my knees and my hands like over the back of the bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And no time to think about whether you were in the water or not. It's just coming out.
Definitely not. Yeah, that's all I want. First I wanted a home birth, and I was like, okay, it's got to be a water birth. And no, it just doesn't go to plan. So
but it sounds like a beautiful experience.
It was, yeah. Did it all intervention and drug free. So I was very happy with that. And my midwife actually ran in the room, my private midwife, about 10 minutes later.
So after all that, she also wasn't there for the...
Yeah, I know. But the midwives at the hospital were lovely. And then my midwife kind of took over from there, and everything was great. Everything was fine. Yeah.
I just want to touch on a couple little things. When you were going through your surges, did you decide to time them, or were you just going intuitively, just following your body?
Yeah, to start with, my partner was timing them, and then he just got too busy, printing the preferences and putting the car seat in the car. Then he was like, we've got to go. Like, it sounds like the baby's coming, so I think we should go to the hospital.
And there was no time to read the preferences also.
No one saw the preferences.
And then for after baby has come out, your final stage, did you do a naturally delivered placenta?
So we did a physiological third stage, which is what I wanted. We were very happy with that. Delayed cord clamping. Baby came straight up onto my chest for skin to skin, and she did a little bit of a breast crawl, and yeah.
Gorgeous.
It was actually, they transferred me to another room a few hours later, and then we were there. I think we were in the hospital maybe 10 hours in total. They kind of came in and said, so what are your plans for the day? And we were like, no plans. But I suppose
what do you mean?
Yeah. So we're like, okay, like we may as well go home. I think we'll be more comfortable there. So.
Oh, wow. So you went straight home the next day?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, she was born at 3 a.m. or so, and we were home by lunchtime. Yeah.
And so did she latch on and she was feeding easily? Or what?
No, there was a little bit of a journey. I do have one flat nipple, and then, of course, nipple pain. So we were using a nipple shield for about 4 weeks. And then one day a private midwife comes to see you in the postnatal period as well for up to about 6 weeks. And one day my midwife, Laura Lee, just said, well, why are you still using it? And I said, oh, yeah, okay. I suppose I can get rid of it now. So we got rid of it. And yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that. We had trouble as well with feeding both nipples flat, but one in particular he just didn't want to get onto, and had so much trouble with nipple shields. And I kept trying to use them and getting so frustrated with them. And a close friend who I always talk about in this podcast, always comes back to her. She said to me, if you don't like using the nipple shield, just get rid of it. And I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. I'll just get rid of that. Yeah, it's funny.
It just takes one person to say something and you're like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so with the baby crawl, like, was your cord long enough that she could get up onto the nipple?
It was, I suppose. I didn't really.
Can't remember.
I can't remember. I suppose.
Yeah. And so for the listeners, again, that don't know what that is, can you describe what the baby crawl is?
Sure. So instinctively, babies will know to look for and to smell for your nipple or your colostrum. So if a baby is placed a little lower on your chest, then hopefully maybe they try and do a little wiggle and look like their head starts bobbing, and they'll try to get to your nipple and try and latch on. So.
And what is the benefit of doing that?
Well, skin to skin straight away, it has so many benefits. It's going to help with the release of the placenta and also with any blood loss, any hemorrhaging. So getting bub onto the breast straight away is going to be great for them. Sometimes it can take, though, quite a while. They've just been through birthing, so they're all very dazed and confused. So it can take an hour up to a couple of hours for them to do that. But if it is taking a couple of hours, you would want a midwife or someone there to help you, assist you. Yeah.
And your placenta came out easily, or like what? Explain how that kind of happened, because we don't really talk much about what happens with the placenta. It's like, oh, baby's out, and end of the story.
No, third stage was. I mean, it's all a bit of a, maybe we don't talk about it because it's a bit of a blur because you've just had this baby and you've got a baby on your chest. But,
good point.
It came out naturally. I think my midwife maybe did a small tug, or maybe she was just like, it's here. I don't particularly remember, but it came out fine, I think within half an hour. And we kept it and we encapsulated it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Cool. Yeah. And you had to look at it afterwards and
yes,
see
I did.
what it looked
she
like.
brought it up to me and showed it to me. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, that is a really beautiful, positive birth story that I think it's a good one for people to listen to, because I think when you're going through your pregnancy and you're preparing for a birth, there's lots of stories and you can get all sorts of, positive and then not so positive ones. And I think it's really nice just to surround yourself with positive stories. Like that.
It's really nice to have lots of positive stories, but also I think sometimes people get too caught up in the really positive ones where mum just breathes baby out and then they're like, that did not happen to me. So it's okay to roar baby out.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And to feel all the feels and to go through the movements and emotions and the emotions of giving birth. But yeah, as long as mum feels empowered and in control all the way, well, no, they probably do feel like they lose a little bit of control, but in control of their body and the decisions that are made around their body, then hopefully they have a positive birth experience, no matter how much they roared or, didn't sing baby out or breathe baby out.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. I think when you do like the hypno courses and stuff, you think, we'll just like breathe it out. But like it sounds like you and me, we both definitely rolled that baby right out. Yeah. And also a positive birth story can look so different. And so it could also, you can have positive C-sections and you can have positive, with epidurals and all sorts of different visions. That's amazing. Yeah. So I want to dive now into the yoga side of things. So were you teaching yoga before you got pregnant, you said?
I have been qualified for about 5 years now, but my partner and I were working on the super yachts before moving back to Australia, just before getting pregnant. So not full-time. I would teach clients that came on the yachts. I'd teach the crew on the yachts, and then on my off time I would teach family birthday parties or weddings or things like that. So never full-time, but yes, I have been teaching. I've been qualified for about 5 years and have just started part-time teaching again in the prenatal and the mums and bubs after Bub arrived. When she was about 5 months, I started back. Yeah.
Oh, great. So you do now yoga for women throughout their whole pregnancy. When does that start? When would they be able to start doing yoga?
You can start doing yoga from whenever.
Conception.
Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful.
Preconception, definitely. To come to the prenatal yoga course, you'd want to know that you were pregnant. You can come all the way up until I had one mum coming until she was like 40, 41 weeks. Yeah.
And so we'll get into that as well. Actually, let's just touch on it now while we're at it. What is the benefit of yoga for in those later stages of pregnancy? Can it help bring Bub out?
Yeah, definitely. So, and it can help get Bub into a really good position for birthing. And also it helps, there's so many benefits of yoga to start with that you're going to get. Yeah. Obviously, the main things, the flexibility, the strength, things like that. But then the prenatal course really helps with things like breathing techniques. So that was a big one that I used while we were in labour. All the different ways, the breath work that you can do to help control your surges, to help get you through, things like that. The circulation of the body, all the extra blood that's in our body while we're pregnant, positions that, help bub if you've got breech bub. Then there's active labour poses, so poses that are really going to help bring bub down birth canal in labour.
Did you use any of those poses then during your birth?
Yes, definitely. Squatting, lunging, side lunging, all really good for moving your hips, and also gravity as well. Squatting helps gravity get baby out,
Yeah. And so you touched on it being good for physical, lots of physical benefits, and then also for breathing. Mm-hmm. Do you find it helpful for women to tune in at all and sort of help them sort of come up with so many things going through your mind when you're pregnant, and then you're trying to prepare for birth and you're trying to make decisions?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think one of the main benefits for me anyway in my practice is the mental side of it. So at the beginning of our classes, we always do a little bit of visualization. So visualizing, there's different ones every week, but a positive birth, or visualizing and connecting with bub in case anyone's struggling with that connection. There's heaps of mental things that yoga helps you prepare for labour for. Yeah, definitely.
I like the idea of the visualization and trying to think of surges, a visual.
And waves and being in your bubble comfort and things like that. Yeah. And we also do a lot of work on your pelvic floor as well, which you wouldn't do in a normal, probably, yoga class, which is obviously so important. Your pelvic floor gets a big workout after giving birth. So the recovery, if you've got a strong pelvic floor, then recovery is going to be better.
Actually, that's, funny you said that. There's, that was one of the main times when I would do my pelvic floor exercises when I was doing the yoga during my pregnancy as well. It's just a reminder to, focus on and strengthen that.
Yeah.
And the more we talk about it, I think every time I heard someone say, even on a podcast about pelvic floor, I'd be like, oh, that's right. And then I would do some exercises. So it's just a quick little reminder, a little prompt to work on those.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked about that as being one difference in the mum pregnancy yoga compared to other yoga. So how is pregnancy yoga different to those ones that you were talking about earlier, the vinyasa?
So we focus on those things a lot more. We focus on the active labour positions that are going to help you. We do specific visualizations, breath work that's going to help you. I didn't know this before pregnancy, but your pelvis is a joint and it moves when you're pregnant with all the relaxin, the hormone in our body. And so keeping our pelvis nice and flexible, but also aligned so that it's really easy for bub to engage and move down is another big one we focus on. Yeah.
And so somebody who's maybe looking at coming into a yoga class, what if they've never done yoga before? What should they sort of expect? They can come?
Of course, yeah. You don't need any kind of previous yoga experience to come to the prenatal course. We take it nice and easy. Obviously, everyone there has a growing bub inside of them, so it's nice and gentle. You can expect some gentle, easy vinyasa style movements or hatha poses. And then we finish the class normally with some yin, so lying on our side, relaxing, connecting with bub, and
And what if you're not flexible? Do you have to be flexible?
No, you don't have to be flexible. I like the saying, saying I'm not flexible enough to do yoga is saying I'm too dirty to hop in the bath.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So it's only going to improve your flexibility. There's all different levels there. And also we use a lot of props in prenatal yoga. So even if you can't touch your toes, we've got a blocker, a bolster there to help you, in a forward fold.
Okay. And what about if they're feeling nauseous or they're having trouble with, I don't know, dizziness or blood pressure or anything like that? What sort of care is taken in there?
Yeah, sure. So we move really slowly, and I tell everyone to just go at their own pace and to do what feels good in their body for that day. We do like a little mental check-in, body scan, see what feels good today, because your practice one day can look totally different to your practice the next day, no matter what your level is. So we always take it nice and easy and, yeah, just go to the limit that you feel is comfortable. I always say to people as well, because of the relaxin in our body, the hormone that makes us a little more flexible when we're pregnant, during pregnancy yoga, kind of come to your edge or find where your edge is and then come back a little bit, because it is easier to injure yourself with the relaxin. So we don't want to overstretch anything.
So, yeah, so if you weren't very flexible before, you're going to be a little bit more flexible now that you're pregnant, just because you're pregnant, you've got the hormones.
But
That's awesome.
Yeah, we don't want to injure ourselves.
No,
so.
no, definitely not. And then also, I know sometimes things like people who maybe haven't done yoga or any meditation can feel nervous about doing it, or I suppose, or not sure, like, I don't know how to meditate, or can it take a while for people to start to get the feel for it?
Yeah. And I always say to people that it's a practice, not a perfect. So, and that your yoga practice is going to look totally different to the person next to you. So there's no comparison, no judging, that we're always in a safe space. Also that I'm just a guide. I'm not telling you have to do something. You can follow along if you like. But if you want to sit there and meditate the whole time, or if you want to stay in child's pose the whole time, then you're totally more welcome to. So.
I like that. Yeah, I think before I ever did yoga, there's sort of this idea of what, and I think maybe it comes from movies or something, that yoga is a very strict practice, and that you've got to follow along quite strictly and be a certain way and look a certain way.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's all about yourself, isn't it? And it's doing your own individual thing and only going as far as you can go.
Definitely. Yeah, there is stricter styles, I suppose, of yoga, but prenatal definitely isn't one of them.
No. And so now you are in training to be a doula.
Yeah.
So firstly, what is a doula?
Yeah, so a doula is a support person through pregnancy. It can be through preconception as well, pregnancy, through your labour, and then into your postnatal period. So you can get pregnancy doulas and you can get postnatal doulas, or you can get both. And yeah, I'm training to do both. So birth and postnatal doula work, support. And yeah, I'm there to support you and your partner, basically become a family, because it's tough, and sometimes people don't have support, or sometimes you don't really want the support of someone that's so close to you in such an intimate space, or sometimes another woman, like for me, my first birth, I just wanted my partner there. Now I'm like, I would totally have a doula, because it's having another lady there or a woman there who has been through what you're going through and knows what it's like, as much as partners love to help, and they do a great job of helping the oxytocin and going through your body. Sometimes they just don't know what you're going through. So, yeah.
It's a different thing. And also the partner might need some support as well, and a doula is there for both of you, right?
Both the partner, any other family members as well, the cat, the dog, any kind of support that you need during your pregnancy, your labour, or your postpartum, I'm there for you. Yeah.
That's amazing. And why would someone have, so they might be thinking, well, I'm going to have a nurse in the room, or I'm going to have like the midwives, sorry. How's a doula going to differ to that, and how does it all look in the room?
So because a doula doesn't do any medical procedures or take any checks or observations or anything like that, I'm there to focus 100% on the mum, if that's what they want. If mum wants me to be focused on their other child or the partner or helping around the room or whatever, that's what I'm doing. So yeah, while the midwife is watching and observing everything that needs to be done medically, I'll be there for mum, holding her hand, like helping her raw through the surges, and
giving her that just mental support, friendship support. That's amazing. And so what made you decide you wanted to be a doula?
Yeah, well, there was a few things. I suppose the first thing is coming from working on super yachts to becoming a mum. I was like, well, I can't go back to super yachts now that are like in Europe and,
Totally different lifestyle.
Yeah, can't take Bub there. So I was like, what am I going to do? I was kind of, I'm pregnant now. I suppose I'll see what happens after I'm pregnant. And then giving birth to my daughter, obviously, it changes you, doesn't it?
Completely.
Yep. It changes your outlook on life. I know I've heard it before and it sounds cliche, but yeah, it does. And then another pivotal moment was the documentary Birth Time. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't.
I think it's available for streaming on Netflix. I went and saw a screening of that probably when my daughter was maybe 3 months old or so. And I went with my midwife and a few other mums who had birth with my midwife. And it was really good. It just showed the continuity of care and how important it is for birthing families. And I left being like, oh my God, I want to be a doula. Like, I want to help mums through this stage. And I kind of felt like I was already doing some of the things, holding space for women in yoga, supporting my friends and family who have given birth, making meals, coming around, helping walk the dog, do the housework, anything like that. And then I just thought, I want to do this. So, yeah.
You're just following that path.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've only just started hearing more about the postnatal doula.
Yeah.
I know two other ladies who have also been on this podcast are doing it, and you're doing it. It sounds so important because after giving birth is a time when, first of all, if it's the first time, everything's completely new and you don't know what on earth you're doing. But also it's a very fragile time. You're probably very sleep deprived. That's a point when mental illness or mental health issues can come into play as well. And so and also if you, particularly if you're a FIFO partner, I'm hearing that theme is quite big for FIFO people to have, or like the FIFO mum to have maybe a bit more difficulty because you're sort of single parenting for a portion of the time.
It could be
would
rough.
be very, very, very tough. Yeah. And so having a postnatal doula would just be so valuable for all women.
Yeah. So we're there to help support you in any way that we can. Obviously, different doulas have different packages. But yeah, in cooking meals, cleaning the house, holding Bub so that you can rest, running baths, walking the dog, the laundry, changing your sheets. Yeah, basically anything that we can, or just sitting with mum and listening to them.
Because it's a very lonely time, isn't it? Especially when, like, if your partner's out at work and, your parents might be out at work and everyone's out doing their things and you're at home with your bub and it can get very lonely. So it'd be very nice just to have someone to just sit there with you to have a chat.
And just debriefing your birth as well. At that 2, 3, 4 day mark when you're like, whoa, what's just happened? Having someone to talk through it with is, really helpful.
Yeah. And how long do people tend to have a postnatal doula for?
It can depend. There's different packages, like I said, and different doulas offer different things. For me, I have 3 different packages, and one is simply like a meal and gifts and things like this. So there's no like support hours, in-house support hours. Then I have one that offers about 6 or 8 hours in-home support. And then I have another package that goes for a month long, and then I come and help you for the whole month. But yeah, like I said, I also offer extra hours. So if you get like maybe the medium-sized package and you're like, oh, I feel like I still want a little bit more love, then you can tap on a few extra hours and I can come and see you for that time. Obviously, I'm not going to be like, okay, I'm on the clock. Like, I've got to go now. Like, I'm going to come and support you in whatever way you need. But yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And so one more question before we get into where people can find you. What is the thing that you love the most about working with women through their pregnancy, birth and recovery?
Yeah, I think it's watching them on the whole journey. So I've had some mums that came to prenatal yoga, and then gave birth, and then after their 6 weeks kind of recovery, started coming to Mums and Bubs, and came to Mums and Bubs until Bub could crawl, and now we're really good friends. So I think watching mums blossom, I suppose, from being pregnant and glowing into this new mum, and helping support them all the way through.
Oh,
Yeah.
you've just made me think of one more question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Sorry. You're talking about Mum and Bub yoga.
Yeah.
So you also do yoga where mums can come along with their baby.
Yep.
What does that kind of look like? Because
Yeah.
it can be challenging with a baby.
Yeah, sometimes we get people peering in like, what's going on in there? So Mums and Bubs yoga, you come to from about 6 weeks, or if you've got a check from your physio to say that you're okay to come back to exercise. You bring Bub along. Right now we offer an 8-week course, and you come with your play mat. Bubs there, we set up in a circle so all the bubs can kind of interact if they want. It's a safe space again, like I said, so feeding is fine, changing is fine. You can bring your pram into the room. I always get mums to check in on Bub like regularly, making eye contact and touching them so the bub knows that they're safe. But also if Bub like wants to be held, they can be held. Like it's a very unstructured class, I suppose, in that we've got people standing and sitting or walking with Bub and feeding and changing, but we go through a few things. We focus on the pelvic floor again, and then you've also got mums at different stages as well of their recovery. So some mums have obviously had cesareans, and some mums have given birth 6 weeks ago and they're like ready to start running. Well, actually I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, I just tell women to check in with their body and take it as easy as they feel that their body needs, to not overstretch or anything. We gently get back into a few things that you can't do or that you shouldn't really be doing while you're pregnant. So things like twists, a gentle back bend, things like that. So yeah, twisting is really good, nourishing for all your organs. It's going to help get everything back into place after they've all been moved around from Bub being in there. So yeah.
So the benefit of a Mum and Bub yoga is more having connection with other women that are going through the same thing, and also having a little bit of movement and stretching and time.
Definitely. Yeah. It's sometimes when you haven't stretched for so long, you get into like a really juicy spot and you're like, oh, that feels so good. So yeah, that's what I like to get that out of mums.
Yeah, aim for that.
Yeah. And then we usually finish the class with some restorative poses, generally some heart openers, because we spend so long like nursing and holding Bub and hunched over. So it's really nice to get into and open up the chest. And yeah.
And what if baby's like crying and stuff, if women are worried, like, oh, my baby's going to cry?
Yeah, totally fine. We're all mums in the room, so we all know what it's like. And I generally put on a pot of tea at the end of class, and we all sit around and have like a mum little gas bag, or say what's been on our mind or what's been worrying us. And like we've had babies vomit on the mats, or like I had one baby breastfeed and I came around with like a little essential oil spray and it distracted Bub, and she looked up at me and then milk was going everywhere, and it was funny. We all laughed about it, but it's totally fine.
Yeah, that happens, doesn't it? Yeah. Milk literally sprays everywhere. Oh, fabulous. Okay, so where can people find you for both? So you do the pregnancy yoga, Mum and Bub yoga, and your doula services.
Yep.
How can they find you best?
Yeah, it's all on the same spot on my Instagram account. It's Jenise, which is JENISE .yoga.doula. So,
beautiful. Yeah. We will add a link to that on the show notes.
Yeah.
And from there, they can find website, or do they book directly through Instagram?
In the process of getting a website made now.
So they can do their booking and see it all through your Instagram.
Direct message through Instagram or email as well. And my email's up there.
Great. Thank you so much for taking the time to tell us your story. And yes, I can definitely recommend people go and do a yoga session and give it a couple of goes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Well, thanks. Bye.
Bye.